Hello, I'm FKX Toycat, and there are some features in Minecraft that just make sense. Take for example eating. If you eat a steak, you are less likely to be hungry again anytime soon than if you eat melons or cookies. These are of course junk foods, and that's explained in-game via the saturation meter, where you get lower values from these two foods. And the weird thing about that is it actually makes sense, and you can think about it in real world terms, because Minecraft is so realistic, except it's not actually, because the highest saturation food is the golden carrot. Take another example of the carved pumpkin, an item a lot of people know because when you place it on your head and look at an enderman, the enderman won't spot you, right? However, this makes sense because the enderman can't see you because of the carved pumpkin blocking your head, I guess. However, if you have an invisibility potion and look at the same enderman, he will mercilessly destroy you. And basically, there are some things in Minecraft that totally do just make sense, but there's lots of things in Minecraft that don't make any sense, but are useful to know about, and today I wanted to let you know about some of those features. So let's jump straight into it with some lava, shall we? And when I say that, I'm not just doing the YouTuber thing where I say let's jump into it. I literally do mean let's jump into lava, and let's do a quick replay of that, because notice how when I was in the lava, I was taking 2 hearts of damage every half second. It was really brutal, and that's because lava is very painful. This is something that just makes sense. I mean, obviously, lava is very painful. Don't spend time in it. It's a real world tip you could probably pick up without having to learn the painful way. However, something much less obvious is the fact that if you put on armor, this hasn't been true for all versions of Minecraft ever, but it is true for both Java and Bedrock today. But if we take that exact same damage, but now we put on some armor, a diamond chestplate and some diamond leggings, giving us roughly 50% damage reduction against attacks, that 50% damage reduction will also work on lava. This is something that is very strange when you think about it, and it's backed up, as you can see, only 1 heart of damage per half second, but it's something that's very strange because wearing armor, especially cumbersome diamond armor, should be burning me alive. I should be melting on the inside here. It makes absolutely no sense. However, it might save you from dying and losing all of your stuff to lava. However, something that does just make sense again is how light works in Minecraft. The further away you are from a light source, the darker it gets. If we open up a light source, as you're going to see, it gets light again, and of course, light goes through glass, just like in the real world. However, something you might not know, and something that makes absolutely no sense to anyone, is that light will also go through blocks like the path block. As you can see, the light is still available over here for reasons? And if we remove the path block, you'll see that it'll also go through an enchantment table. The enchantment table is fully blocking off that space, and yet you can see perfectly through it, which is very, very strange, to say the least. By the way, I'm going to eat some golden carrots now, and in case you doubt that saturation point from the start of the video, notice how I'm not going to get hungry a single time for the rest of this entire thing. Anyway, so with that said, the next illogical feature is that Minecraft mobs see buttons as a block for the purpose of spawning. No mobs can spawn in any of these blocks right here because there is a button taking up that space already. Only this spot is capable of spawning mobs, which is a very weird one by itself, and has had many weird bugs as a result. But the even weirder thing, the thing that makes even less sense, is that this is also true for water. Water in Minecraft sees buttons as being solid blocks, and so if you want, you can actually do this. You can have a water source block that obviously can't flow on any of the 4 sides. I mean, as far as the game is concerned, this looks exactly like this. The water is surrounded by 4 sides, it can't flow anywhere, so it's solid water. Even though they are just buttons, and they clearly should be letting the water past, this is enough to stop them, which means you can actually reroute your water by using buttons. If we place our water on the ground over here, it flows out in all 4 directions. If we place a button over here, we can stop that. We can actually remove the flow altogether if we really want to, and it's a really questionable idea as to whether you should want to do this, I guess. It's really bizarre as to what you even could do with it, but being able to redirect water is a really cool power that you can now take advantage of using buttons? So something I can sadly verify about the real world is that if you jump from a high enough peak, you will die. Did you know full damage is a real source of death for humans? However, you might not have known, and something that really just doesn't make any sense, is that you can fall onto a ladder or even any type of vine, and if you do, your full damage will be instantly set to 0. That's right, I just fell 70 blocks, that's 70 meters, and it's okay because I fell on a vine that looks like this. But did you know you can actually take one water bucket and turn it into two if you just happen to only have one water ever? This is easily done by having a 2 deep hole, you place the one water at the top, you place a kelp in the bottom, and then you bone meal it up, and now boom, you have 2 buckets of water, one over here, which we'll place over there for now, one over here, which we'll place over there, and now 1 bucket of water can equal infinite buckets of water, because, you know, it used to be 2 buckets and that was too much work. This is something that makes absolutely no sense. Every step of that might have confused you, but welcome to Minecraft 2021. So gold armor is worse than iron armor, right? That's logical and it makes sense because gold is super brittle. However, gold horse armor is better than iron horse armor, and because neither has durability, there is no reason for iron horse armor at all. And by that logic, obviously, gold is worse than diamond. All of the horse armors are just worse versions of each other till diamond, and the entire system is something that just doesn't make any sense. So something that does make sense, at least if you paid attention in art class, like really basic art class, is that if you want to get purple dye, you can combine red and blue together, 2 of the primary colors. If you want to get orange, then of course, what do? You combine red and yellow. What do you do on the other hand if you want to get green dye? Well, that's an obvious one. What you do is you take blue and yellow dye, and then you throw them away and you have to smelt a cactus, because for whatever reason, you can't craft green dye from blue and yellow together. Is Minecraft unaware of color theory? Or what is the reason? I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense, but it's one of those important things to know about if you're trying to collect all of the dyes, which is essential for one of the achievements, as well as just day-to-day use. So, fun fact. Also, you know what, while we're here anyway, I've always found it strange that there's a light blue dye, there's a light red dye, we call light red pink as a society, but if you try to do yellow and white, there's no light yellow dye. But honestly, it is kind of arbitrary that there are 16 types of dye, and therefore 16 wool types, concrete powder, terracotta, glazed terracotta, and stained glass. It's very weird that there is only 16 of those, and honestly, it's stranger yet, because when you think about how many dye combinations there are, how many beacon combinations there are multiple other colors in Minecraft, but they stuck to 16. Or to put it another way, if I had $1 for every color that existed, if I was Minecraft, I would have $16. And $16 is an amount of money anyone would be happy with, as you can prove from my live streams. Anyway, with that said, the next important little thing that totally makes sense is that when the only way to get green dye is via the furnace. You smelt cactus away until green dye appears, because blue and yellow doesn't make green. Trust me, I studied color theory, but something you might not know about cactus is just how much experience it gives you. You can see how it gives us an amount of experience equivalent to killing a mob. In fact, an entire stack of cactus smelted, a very easy feat, gives you more experience than killing a witch. So, did you know cactus green is a better way to get experience than killing witches? I mean, that's not how experience really works in the real world. It's something that just doesn't make sense. So something that makes sense is that zombies burn in daylight. This is a very common thing. I mean, it's not in the slightest, but something that makes a lot of sense, definitely, is that if the zombie is wearing a helmet, they will not burn in the daylight anymore. So did you know, if you see a zombie wearing a helmet, they are more dangerous than other zombies because they won't burn when the sun goes away? It just makes sense. So something that just makes sense in Minecraft is being able to take 3 of a block and being able to get 6 half slabs from it. This is a half block, and although we don't question why there are only certain blocks that can be made into half slabs, and the very arbitrary nature in which it's mostly stone, but also there's wood mixed in there too, the interesting thing about half slabs that just totally makes sense and is really important to know about is that if the half slab is on the top half of the block, then mobs will be able to spawn, but if the half slab is on the bottom half of the block, then no mobs will be able to spawn because it's not a real non-transparent block. It's very strange, the mechanics for that. Oh, and it should also be mentioned that the light tip from earlier also applies to half slabs. As you can see, light will get through a half slab on either side of that block, but place 2 half slabs down and the light goes away. I mean, we don't question the logic sometimes. Also, it works for stairs, which makes even less sense. But again, we don't ask questions. Something you should be aware of by now is that beacons can only go through transparent blocks. This mostly means glass. They have to have a clear line to the sky, because if anything else is there, and yes, this includes a full block made from slabs, then the beacon will power off. This is a widely known fact that has no exceptions, except for Bedrock, Minecraft's hardest block. Yes, that's right, you can have any amount of bedrock between your beacon and the sky and it will still work. And this is something that makes absolutely no sense because it is the hardest block in the game, so how is light getting through it? I mean, I understand how light gets through glass. I took a light class, but how does it get through the beacon? And the explanation is there's no logic for it. It's a gameplay decision that in the Nether, they wanted beacons to work still, and because the Nether has a bedrock ceiling, therefore, beacons can pass through bedrock. It's a one-off exception that works just fine in the overworld if somehow you get below bedrock, which is, I guess, technically possible in 1.18. So maybe you want to do that to yourself, or maybe you want to fly around in creative and confuse people with the beacons coming out of bedrock. It's up to you, man. Here's another one that just makes sense. Different blocks have different resistance to TNT based on how strong they are. Iron blocks being made of solid iron, of course, are going to resist TNT quite well. Here's what happens if I blow up a TNT block. As you can see, all of these outside ones are spared, even though I'm hurt by the shockwave, because it's iron. It's very, very strong. Something that doesn't make sense is that chains, even though they're made from much less iron than the iron block, and it really is a lot less iron, here's what happens when you blow up the chains. It has the exact same effect. You guessed it, chains have the same blast resistance in the game code, for whatever reason, than iron blocks do, despite chains looking like this and iron blocks looking like this. And that sort of revelation that doesn't make any sense might drive you into a mad rage. Maybe instead it's because you're embarrassed because you said you wouldn't need to eat for a whole video, but here you are at half a hunger shank. Maybe you want to die. But here's the deal, in the real world, people do care about you. That is something that just makes sense. There are lots of people, even if they care about you small amounts, the amount when it totally adds up is very high. This is why there are so many anti-suicide awareness campaigns. However, if you want to kill yourself in Minecraft, this is actually encouraged. A lot of people do like a good old suicide explosion, but something you might not know about one of these is when you see this screen that says you died, you know that you're dead. I'm pretty aware, but something you might not know is that your stuff that looks like it's despawning, like this enchantment table right here, won't actually despawn if you hit respawn and you're nowhere near it, because stuff will only despawn when you're within the render distance of it. And this is really useful, but it means that what you have to do the moment you die is respawn somewhere far away and then make a plan as to how to get your stuff. By the way, just to prove that that's true, I'm going to spend, I don't know, 5 minutes now not getting my stuff, and then I'll come back in, I don't know, 10 minutes and show you how long it's been. Okay, can we all agree it's been more than 5 minutes now? I mean, you should be able to agree that, I hope. And yet, when I ran across my very questionable lighting world, and believe me, I know it's questionable, do you know what I'm gonna find? That's my stuff still floating here. And I could prove it despawns by spending 5 seconds looking at floating items. But you get the point. It didn't despawn because I spent that time nowhere near the items. The 5-minute clock is different for each... Oh, it actually did despawn. The 5-minute clock is different for each item depending on how long it's been rendered in. So something that makes sense is that snowballs are basically useless in Minecraft. I mean, that's how they are in the real world. They're a fun item that exists. However, something you might not know about them, to come back to lava again, I mean, lava in Minecraft is a very weird item. It looks more like gooey cheese than anything else, but something you might not know about lava is that if any projectile goes through it, including the snowball, it will light on fire. As you can see, here is a snowball firing, filled with fire, over to the gravel over there. And this seems like a mostly harmless feature, right? I mean, it's just throwing snowballs that happen to be on fire over to far-flung places. Except, yeah, wait, that is a very terrifying thing. And it gets even weirder, right? Because it will only work through flowing lava. I can fire this at pretty much any angle through flowing lava, and it goes flying up and all the way over to the distance, set on fire. However, if you try and do this through the lava source block, it will not work at all. Why is that? I mean, you know, good reasons, just like all the other things. So did you also know there are good reasons for when a shulker hits another shulker, they reproduce? I mean, this isn't the love-making act that I spend most of my time looking at. Oh god, that's not a line I can use in the video. But you know what it is? It's one of those very logical Minecraft features that I think you should have known about already, and if you didn't know about it, it's something that just doesn't make sense, but you need to know about. By the way, that's a 1.17 feature I should mention. Speaking of weird features I should mention, if you mine your end platform and then re-enter the end, it will respawn and appear there again. So Endermen have magical eyes and they can see you all the time, except the times they can't see you, right? This is a widely known fact. However, they can see you when you're invisible, like I mentioned at the start of this video, but the even weirder thing is that the enchantment table can as well. The enchantment table is a simple block, it's very delightful, you look at it and it opens the book towards you, but it can do this even when you have an invisibility enchantment. And if we're going to argue that the pumpkin on the head is the magic cure-all that makes you more invisible than that, even with a pumpkin head, when you look at an enchantment table, it will still point to exactly where you are, meaning that Enderman and the enchantment table don't really see the invisibility effect, which confirms that the invisibility potion doesn't really work. So while we're talking about terrible things that don't really work, did you know that fire is very dangerous? And I don't just mean the type that comes on a snowball towards your house, I mean that house fires are a very real risk. And did you know that greater than 99% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the IBX Toycat YouTube channel? That's right, it is just a widely known fact. It is just a thing that makes sense that if you subscribe to the IBX Toycat YouTube channel, you can feel like you have one less fear in your life, because you will in fact have one thing gone that you need to worry about. And more seriously, if you subscribe with notifications turned on, you can join that elusive subscriber squad. I can tell you that fun fact that you're in that weird percent of people that have subscribed as opposed to the percent that haven't. And we all know the people who haven't subscribed are bad and the people who have subscribed are good. So thank you for being good, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you all in the next one, unless I die in a house fire. Thank you for watching, goodbye.